Hi, this is the Gypsy Rover. I got two cameras on, just because the whole wall behind me you can't see. You can only see half the wall on the one camera. And we'll go to camera two. And hi, this is the Gypsy Rover with Jokers on Duty. And so far, if you can see, there's the studio change around a bit for decorating, and so anyhow we'll put it this way for now, and that, so again, so you can see my wall behind me. I'll move out of the way here so you can see it. So the studios Jokers on here starting to decorate, and that, so again, we're getting all ready, since now we're into the new year, and so again, Jokers on Duty studio, and I got and also too, you can see I got my TV behind me. So if we go have like custom made wrestling games or whatever, again, like the odd times or whatever, or just video game social, and that. Again, it will be on the flat. Again, the sound will be turned down, and that kind of thing. So technically, I'm not totally finished yet, the studio. Getting it all dolled up for 2018, and that. So far, I've added. Can I give you a scan around the studio again, because there's some changes, and again, it's Jokers on Duty time, and again, there's the clock one, and that, and that, and so anyhow, I thought I'd make this place look make it look nice in here. So anyhow, so again, it looks kind of Rotary-ish and Optimist. So anyhow, because also too, we'll be having the Optimist Hour popping in here too this year. So again, we'd like to welcome you to we'd like to welcome you to Jokers on Duty's Haunted Hunters Cabin Clubhouse, and also to the odd time, the Optimist Hours, too, and that. So again, we're kind of making this place look like a studio, because I don't like bare walls. So I figure if I hang stuff up, it is actually going to look nice in here. And so anyhow, since I'm gonna trap the heat in here, and just so you know, everything has moved around. Again, move the TV directly behind me so you can actually see me playing the video games. My pot fridge just stayed in the same section. So the movie shelf stayed in the same section. Pringles Pete stand is actually right next to me. I actually hung up some movie pictures. So far, I've got the Harry Potter ones up, posters of, again, on the back wall, I've got like some movie posters or some type of movie cardboard cases up there, and then I've got some of the Harry Potter posters up and that kind of thing, because I'm into I like watching the Harry Potter movies. So again, even though Harry Potter has really nothing to do with Hunter's Cabin, again, that is just for decoration, and that. So again, we're kind of, the studio's coming up. I do have some He-Man pictures, Master of the Universe pictures. I am gonna put up too, whenever I get some more Scotch tape or whatever to put them up. You'll see them going up. Also, too, coming Again, I didn't run a cord for the Christmas, the actual colored Christmas lights, because the Christmas part is over, and we're into the new year. So again, everything is conversing back to the orange lighting. So just back to the orange lighting for when we get closer to Halloween and that kind of thing. So it's ready to, the orange lighting is ready to plug in, and I just gotta get batteries for my candles and that kind of thing, and my actual and that. So part of since we did to go scan videos and that kind of thing, and there's some type of there was some type of spiritual movement in here, but we're just going to avoid that as much as possible. We're not gonna continue on with the communication end of it. Obviously it's after a while it is gonna fade. It's eventually it's gonna move, and that way eventually the whatever, with it being a historical building, the spiritual end of things is starting to settle down a bit. So it's not as demonical like we thought it might have been. So technically, when it gets to that point, then we'll communicate with it. But other than that, we're just gonna leave it. We're gonna leave it be. And so whatever. Well, when we go into October and we go on with Hunter's Cabin, if anything starts, getting caught on tape, then we just let it get caught on tape. That way, we've got the scientific end of it. Anyhow covered. And that Fog TV is Paul Lucer. I gotta get my rings on here. Paul Lucer, his shows will be starting up in October, and sometime in October they're having their debut. Sometime in March, if you guys have Netflix, if you're into the Lemony Snicket series of series of unfortunate events, their season 2 is starting up in March. I think it's March sometime. So far it's been advertised on Netflix. Maybe a little earlier, but that is a very, 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 very good show. So we covered, we kind of covered Remembrance Day this year, and Christmas, because that's all the same every year. We don't need to do a live stream of that anymore. We've already got that, but because those two things are the same every year. New Year's, we're still going to do next year, and that. But again, it is not going to be as colorful, somewhat, a little bit, but different, and that. So. Again, I got the studio all nice stalled up here, and also Relic the Clown. He was on last night. I thought he was really, really funny. He was really dancing up a storm, and bebopping and beating, bebopping and dancing around in his chair and everything else like that last night, and that. So on his streams, and I thought that was so funny. And that, so in between shows too, and then also too, because we're coming also into the summer weather. When we come into the summer weather and that kind of thing, our coffee club socials will be out in the Wiarton community, out of the studio. So we'll kind of be in and out of this, kind of in here, in the studio here. I am looking at making a couple adding a couple things. Sometime down the road, when I can afford it, I'm going to check at the pawn shop to see how much an actual microphone stand is going to cost me, so I can actually stand up here, and I can actually stand it up. Me, not personally stand up, but actually put it to my level and actually talk through it. Since I got it, I got it running through the karaoke machine. So again, that can bring my sound out a bit more. So again, everything is all Joker's on is really, really, really coming up I told you it was picking up this. It's going to pick up this year, and that kind of thing. A few things are technically being added in. Now I've been invited to Bible studies, but I don't like Bible studies that much. Like, not the fact that I don't believe in what they're talking about. It is just not my forte or cup of tea anymore, like it used to be as a kid. Again, they get boring. Again, it also too, it gets into what you call, especially when they get into like they get into revelations, they get into the evolution. I already know about evolution and all that. I took years of school history of that crap. Like that's how I know so much about theologian and archaeology, and that kind of thing. Like as a little kid, I grew up in a religious setting. So I kind of know how all the Orange Orders work, and my grandfather was a Freemason, so I kind of know how all that kind of stuff works, and that so all that stuff is all the same. It never changes. Only thing that basically changes is sometimes the people. Again, they go downhill, they go uphill, they go downhill. They're like yo-yo, so they're all over the place. And plus, also too, my wife is Catholic, so again, this family has enough religion to deal with. We don't need no more. And so anyhow, so that is a department I'm now choosing to avoid. And that, but I do believe that there is a big need for, excuse me, and that. So yeah, so again, I am a spiritual person. I'm not a religious person. There's a difference from being religious and then being spiritual. Spiritual, it does not hold the title really of Christianity. It holds a different title than generally. Which is 90% of charismatics. Now you do have the Pentecostal fellowship. You do have the fellowship churches, which is Pentecostal, but they're not. They're close to being charismatic, but they're not charismatic. They're just basically have converted our charismatical not traditions, but charismatical spiritual beliefs into a Christianity community. The actual charismatical movement, Celtic charismatical movement, or Protestant or Catholic charismatical movement is totally separate from the church. It is totally what they would consider when it originally started hundreds of years ago. It started as a Norwegian order, where they believed that in evolutional wise, that they believed that they were spiritually helped by something that give you the ability, spiritually power to heal somebody by just laying your hand on their forehead, or producing energy, or sharing your energy into someone else to heal them, and illnesses and that. So again, it is a scientific force. It is spiritual force. It is not a paranormal. It's a paranormal, supernatural, energetic force of energy, and that. But again, they have a lot of the Christian churches, like the fellowship churches, the Pentecostals, the Baptists became left Baptist persuasion, gone to Pentecostal, is moving and manifesting in what you call spiritual healing. But again, they're not considered charismatic. They're actually taking a charismatical spiritual movement into a Christianity community. So again, it is transforming what being charismatic really is. which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And that kind of thing. If that works for them, and it is a work, and it's a working movement. We for years we didn't think, even like I'm talking about before my time, my ancestors or whatever. For years we didn't think that it would actually flow through a Christian community, and that kind of thing. Or it'd be very strong, because 100 years ago the actual charismatical spiritual movement was actually helped. Charismatics were actually have close encountered with extraterrestrials, which was the source of what you call charismatical angelical what you call energetically. We're talking about energy, human body, human soul, spiritual, source of energy, and that kind of thing would actually flow through the sick person and actually heal them, and that kind of thing. So. So again, we didn't think that the Christian communities, it would actually work in the Christian communities, because we didn't think that their spiritual belief in the Holy Spirit that would actually would move it. But see, so technically, we don't know if the Holy Spirit is actually using that, or if it is still coming from the original source, which is for decades. Which has been paranormally passed on, given gifts, gift giving by extraterrestrial aliens from somewhere out in the universe, because we do know that, according to science, that we're not the only human life in our solar system or universe. And that, like, if you ever follow Ancient Aliens, those that are into those shows, documentaries that talk about the pyramids of Egypt, they were not built by technology like we think, like you would think that they would be today, because those days they didn't have a clue how to build anything. The Egyptians were helped by had what you call outside help from some type of extraterrestrial force of some kind from somewhere, that kind of spiritually gave them the knowledge to calling to build these things, and nobody those days didn't know exactly what it was, and they believed it was to be of some type of close encounter of extraterrestrialism of some kind, from somewhere out in the universe or whatever. But again, but that's a little bit of that's just a little bit of charismatical history for you. But no, that does not make that because the fact you have charismatics out there does not make us aliens. Don't think that. Again, it is. But again, even if you put the Christianity churches on a chart 1 to 10, the actual Christian community itself, believe it or not, is actually registered as being part of the paranormal supernatural activity, and that. So. For again, if you really into researching a lot of historical over time history, you going back 100 years or on how it started, or you go back far enough, if you're into world history and that kind of thing. Are you looking at following, looking to follow a theologian's point of view, or what you call archaeologist's point of view, or what they're finding, and that kind of links it all together. So once they got it all linked together. Like again, like here, they for an example, the churches talk about a man that once lived, that had magical powers. Um, Again, could perform all these miracles, and he did nothing wrong. He was a perfect man, and all that, going on about that. And then he had the ability, but then again, what they don't look at, what they don't really see if they really study the history far enough, it's evolution. Um, because you can't. It's very impossible to actually nail somebody to a wooden cross, where they believe the Roman Catholics believe, where they believe the Roman Catholic soldiers had nailed this guy to a cross at Easter time, and he had died, and had actually resurrected, and all of a sudden they see him walking through the desert again, and that again that what they experienced wasn't a close encounter, or they took blood from him, and they drained the blood out of him before all that, and then that is actually, if you really look over that and they put that into a holy grail or whatever, that is getting into what you call paranormal of the supernatural, because once a person has been deceased, they're deceased. They can't come back. Spiritually, yes, they can. That's where the paranormal investigators run into situations where people have claimed they've had close encounters of aliens or extraterrestrialism or some type of extraterrestrial power, where the power of the Ouija board may come in place, that can cause a lot of these manifestations. Or people have seen these shadow things, or whatever. Again, that is all of the paranormal, supernatural, again, a lot of theologians are finding evidence that, and archaeologists are finding evidence that the man they once called Christ was actually originally. Reason why his body went missing from the tomb was because the fact that they took him out in the middle of the night and actually cremated his body, and they put Christ's ashes into a golden ark. They made a golden ark, and which again was extraterrestrialism gift given, and so that this ark was able to do a lot of different things. So if you were an evil person, it represented the power of Satan. If you're a righteous person or whatever, it will bless you, or cause miracles to happen, and that. But it's been guarded and sacred for 1,000 years by the Knights Templars or the Freemasons. They wouldn't let anybody go near it, and it's been in the basement of one of these churches, either in the U.S. or in Canada or over in the Middle East somewhere, and that's been sitting on it, which has been put into what you call a Holy Grail. And same with the blood of Christ. The real blood of Christ was in in what you call a Eucharist. And it was placed in the same Holy Grail, either in Berlin, Germany, or somewhere in the world. And again, it is well guarded by. They believe that the Freemasons or the Nazis have been sitting on it for years, and that so any archaeologist try to get close to it to study it, they can't without getting hurt, injured, or killed. And that so again, it was very, very sacred. So basically, they believe that's what's giving these churches the power they have, is so much power that they have, and that kind of thing. So again, they're getting some type of extraterrestrial help. So that's where that's there. If you're into going into as a paranormal investigator or whatever courses, there is books on it, but you're never ever gonna be able to touch the real thing. But they I guess the scientists they have the evidence of, because there's been documentaries that have already been documented on Netflix and and that which is that talks all on it, and that kind of thing, and that so on how powerful how powerful the Christian society really is, and why they're so powerful, what's giving it its power, and where the power is coming from. So again, a lot of paranormal hunters or investigators believe that they're being held by they're actually being empowered by an extraterrestrial force, and are being manipulated by an extraterrestrial alien type force. That basically that Earth is not the only planet here in we're not the only life in the universe here on Earth, us humans. They believe that there is life on other planets. They're starting to find running water, like the astronauts that work for NASA. They're trying to find. They're starting to discover all that. That there's oxygen, like there is Earth, that they're livable, or something's been living there. Also too, it's and that so that's why I don't need to read the Holy Bible, because everything that's in that Bible is basically everything that's in that documentary. A lot of people don't really clue in or understand that. What was ever written in the Holy Bibles is what's always been on those documentaries for decades. The answer's always been in front of you, and scientifically. And a lot of people have never ever clued in yet, or have noticed what it's really talking about, what it's really saying to you, and that kind of thing, and that. So like my wife says, oh, don't read between the lines. Well, sometimes it's good if you read between the lines, because you know what's going on in the world, and that kind of thing. That's why that's why over for centuries there's been so much, even before our country Canada became a free country, there's been so much war and famine is because of everything that goes on in history, where history will try to repeat itself. So it's so again, slowly, the way technology is so high, a lot of these documentaries now are coming to the top of the table. A lot of stuff that was supposed to come out 100 years ago, they had no way of source to bring it out. But now, because technology is so high and is going so high, you can go and Google everything now and find the truth out about everything, and actually read up on it, and actually follow these documentaries. If you want to know what the name of if you do want to know the name of the documentary that is on Netflix, it has been on Netflix before, but maybe it's been overlapped now with another movie. But if you go on to Netflix, or you punch in on YouTube or Google, punch in this. It's a documentary. It's called "The Secrets of the Holy Bible," and if you watch that, that's where the whole truth about the Ark of Covenant that comes out about the church being controlled and manipulated by extraterrestrialism, and what really happened with Christ himself. And how it is, and how the actual Holy Bible itself is birthed and is connected to the occult, and where Christianity changed over the centuries. That Christianity at one point was a big movement of the occult. When they separated from it, from that actual order, and they split off and went their own way. They actually tried to cover up. So technically, Christianity is still being labeled as being part of supernaturally or paranormally connected to the occult, and a lot of Christians do not see that. And where technically where it actually originates from. and that. So, so that there is actual documentaries that actually have scientifically proven and actually have pinpointed that, and that, but. And that, so it takes you right back. That documentary takes you back to history on how it was birthed, how it's really started, and what really went on, and evidence they found that proves that it has really went on over history, and how good of a cover-up the church is today, and because they're actually trying to cover up the main truth, on really where they're coming from, and that. So, like I said, they're not like they are today. At one time they did have what you call they did have what you call a very some type of bad history. That went back 100 years, or even longer. It even goes back to the time of the man who actually wrote the King James Bible. Now, there was an evil man right there that wrote the Baptist Bible, that the Baptists claimed to follow. This man that would believe that he was a prophet of true testimony and all this of God. But they found out that the same man was a very evil man because of things he did 100 years ago, and how evil he led the early Christians into doing, and persecuting people because they were different, and which I won't go into detail for. If you ever get a book on demonology, his book on demonology, you can read all in there with all his laws of Britain, Scotland, England, Ireland, and everything. And you can actually read about, and there's actually a documentary on Netflix too that talks about him as well, and all the evil things he did, and that kind of thing. And again, he was empowered by some type of extraterrestrial force, and that. So that a lot of people, when they become paranormal investigators, a lot of stuff they study in college or have to study, they actually learn the truth about everything, even world's history, Christianity history, everything, on how powerful and manipulative it really is, and that, on how bad they used to be. Where like I said, they're not as bad as they are. They're not as bad today as they were probably then. But they still carry, they still carry that old baggage, and they still have they still are coming from that kind of a background, or having that kind of a bad history over century, and. But those are like true documentaries. Those are some good ones to actually watch, and that, so you learn a lot. When I started watching those, I thought it was at first I thought it was all a bunch of clowning, but in these documentaries, they've got old news articles, everything that goes back to those dates on what really happened, and if you're looking into archaeology, or you're getting into anything theologically or theologianly, it is a good study if you can stomach it, or you can handle it. Because not everybody can handle, reading history and that kind of thing. Because it takes you back in time, and it also takes you back into the American history, also too, on top of our Canadian history. So it basically takes you back far enough, and that. but that's a little bit of basically some of the stuff I was learning when I went into 1 year Bible college. Some of the stuff I was a little bit taught too, and they also said for people that are becoming ministers, to become a minister you have to know it. You have to be educated in science. You have to know science. You have to know evolution, and you have to know about the paranormal. You have to know about the supernatural. You got to study all that, and that they try to let on that they never studied it. But if they went to, they wouldn't be a minister today if they've never ever studied that. And that kind of thing, because they have to know that before becoming a certified minister of any denomination. They have to know their science. They have to know their world history. They have to know all that. They have to have high grades in all those courses. They're a big have to, like it's and that. Especially if they're researching something very sacred like that, they actually have to go back 100 years and actually study everything. Or basically, you can say if they honestly didn't, then what they're progressing from the pulpit is a lie. Or again, or can be considered a big money scam. Because if they honestly believe in what they were taught, they wouldn't be there. Be there just for the money. Even here in Warrington, I've actually heard church ministers say, "Oh, we don't believe in this. We don't really believe in what we're saying," and they've actually admitted they're behind the pulpit just for the money, and because they're being paid to be there. And because it's a job to them, and the belief is really not in their heart, or that, because if it was really, really deep down in their heart, and they believe to be there, or they believe that they really have a calling to be there, they wouldn't care about the money. Again, they do have that luxury. Yes, they do have that luxury, because a congregation sometimes will donate money, but to the churches and that kind of thing, to keep it going, to pay their taxes and that kind of thing. A lot of these guys, they do have other careers or other jobs. But honestly, if they're going to step up onto a pulpit and title themselves as a minister, or be certified as a minister, they can't be letting it go to their head and saying, "Oh, we're just here for the money." And they've got to actually they actually have to produce evidence they have a calling to be there, or spiritually confirm in their own spiritual self that they need to be there. Again, because I've heard the Baptist minister, the interim Baptist minister here say the same thing. Technically, he said a couple times he's not there because because he wants to be there, he believes to be there. He is there because he's getting paid to be there, and that kind of thing, or to say a lot of the shit from the pulpit, and because he's being paid money to be there, and you see a lot of that, and that. So that's what I said. Like it's like it's but again, it's you got. Usually, if you're looking for a church to belong to or whatever, if you do want to get into that kind of a community, you do have to watch your head ministry of the church, because you don't know what the reasons are for being there. They may have different reasons why they're there. Like again, some of these ministers are crooked. I can honestly say that. Because a lot of them are just in it because to them, they've handed in a resume or filled out an application, or they're just using college knowledge. They don't really believe in what half of them don't even really believe in what they're there for. They're there just to fill their own pockets, and I walk out the door, and then all of a sudden there's a big change in the church. New ministry comes in, and the other dudes walked off with your money with a couple $15,000 grant, and that. So, but again, for those to be there, one, it has to be in their heart for them to be there themselves, and they have to be there for the right reasons. But like I said, I've even heard of half the ministers here in Wiarton. You're seeing a lot of them. They've even admitted, even to me, at a public coffee club, in a public coffee shop, that they're only in it because they're being paid to be there, and that they really don't want to be there. The one guy's even told me, two of them has told me here at the Baptist church, they don't really want to be here. That, but for a while they had to be because the church had no minister, and now they have a minister that actually, she has a good heart for everything. Her heart's really in it. But some of these guy ministers that were here, that have come through here, have only been here to rob the congregation of their money, and that kind of thing, because all they were in it was for is to line their own pockets, and they didn't seem to care, and they admitted from their own mouth that they were only in it because they were being paid to be here. Because again, they were getting a free car from the church board, they were getting a free fancy car from the church board itself, they were getting a free house to live in from the church board, was paying for everything. The church board was also, paying them a good paycheck to be here. These two guys have actually admitted that to me, and that was the only reason why here was for them. It was about getting, and there was no, the people were leaving the churches because of that going on, because they felt that they were being manipulated or whatever, because all these guys were coming in because they were just after everybody's money. But and half of them, some of them, there was two guys here that was actually college certified too, and again, they were just in it because of the money. And then there was one person that took the pulpit here. Somehow they got chosen to be a minister, but again, they were not college certified. They've never been to a Bible college. They never took any minister college courses or anything. And to be a minister, you have to go to college. You have to go to university. And there's no way around that one. And that kind of thing. And they were just kind of, we just handed it to them on a silver platter. And again, their heart wasn't in it. They were just in it to get a quick paycheck, and they were gone. But I think now, I think now that the Baptist Church here has found the right person. I personally think, for how long, I don't know. Until her personality, I hope her personality never changes. But her and her husband seem to be quite real. So again, we're giving her we're giving her a try. We're giving her and her husband a tryout, and to kind of see if 5 years from now, it is still in her heart to be there, or if she becomes like everybody else, just in it for a paycheck. I hope that is never ever the case. But again, it is a nice. It is nice they do that, but again, that cannot be their reasons why they want to be on that pulpit. Because because that's what causes a split in a lot of smaller churches and that kind of thing. They go downhill. and that kind of thing. That's why you see a lot of the bigger operations. They keep growing and they keep getting bigger, and they're getting so packed in is because the leadership is real, and that is the main thing. And I'm just putting that in a good way. But you never know. Like I said, years change. Like people always say, life cycles always change, is always changing. Like everything does not stay the same forever. Just like you look at the if you look at the Salvation Army for an example, I know people that belong to Salvation Army now because the way they operate different than every other church does would. In their constitutional laws or doctrine, their head of their church, the majors, their officers, have to change every 5 years. They get a thing called marching orders, where they're actually marched out by the Salvation Army Board of Directors up at divisional headquarters or they're forced to retire because the fact that they always have to change every 5 years. And the officership they bring in younger officers and that kind of thing, and that's why they have their changeovers so quick all the time, is because it's based on that particular order, and where it's a uniformity. The Salvation Army is what you call a uniformity order. Which is more closer to a Masonic order than anything. So again, their church operates on both, regular civilian community church, and also runs on a soldiership, which also runs on a Masonic organization. And the Masonic organization of it, because the officers are part of that Masonic organization, they have marching orders every 5 years that they can only stay for 5 years, and then they have to leave, and then another set of officers will move in, and then they're here for they're here for 5 years, and then they have to leave the next 5 years, and then someone else comes in. Another team, and again, they're different in that. Which seems to happen a lot. So that way, again, it's giving other people, some of the new recruits coming out of college, out of the William Booth College in West or whatever, university. So they're kind of spreading and getting the younger ones, getting the younger ones in the leadership of it. Anyways, the officership of it, and that. So that's why they're always having to change. Because that is just the way the Salvation Army is. It doesn't work like every other church is, where you have one minister who probably stays the same all the time. Again, 5 years you see new faces, and that kind of thing. So now for Wiarton here, it's always been the same two circus clowns. They seem to be doing some lot of sweet talking, because they've been here way longer than 5 years, and it's quite funny to see how they're actually getting around that one. So they must be they must have ran out of. A friend of mine, we were joking because we were saying they probably ran out of college recruits. For this area anyways, coming out of some of the ones that are coming out of the William Booth University out west is probably not coming this way. They're going the other direction. So again, because if they were all starting to come this way to the Wiarton area, then the Millers would have been gone a long time ago. Again, there would have been a total another changeover. Again, they would have got their marching orders a long time ago. And they would have marched them out and retired, then marched them out, and they would have marched in a new recruit team. new team of officers. But again, that's what I said. So for this area, they probably ran out of officers. So that's probably why they made an exception. But normally they're breaking their constitutional rights and laws on a lot of their in their actual logbook and that kind of thing. And that, so it is quite comical when you look at it, because I know with other areas, again, the students that are coming out of the Salvation Army College that's graduating, they're actually taking on more, going towards the bigger cities, and so that's why their officership is changing all the time. It was changing every 5 years. Where even Wyerton is supposed to change every 5 years. So when Owen Sound changes, Wyerton is actually Salvation Army is supposed to change every 5 years. And so again, but because there's no new young officers coming into Wyerton, and that's ready to relieve the two that are here, so that they can retire or move on, and that. So that's why these two have been holding out as long as they are, or normally, or if there was a Salvation Army marching movement, Sally Ann marching movement, then there would have been new officers here a long time ago, serving another 5 years, and serving the next 5 years. So if you look at Ottawa, the Ottawa Salvation Army has changed their officers right on time, right on every 5th year, or the beginning of every 5th, or the end of every 4th year, at the end of every 4th year, and coming into the 5th year. They've had marched on all their old officers, and that's been there for 5 years, and then actually bringing the younger ones. But because there's no younger ones coming to the Wyerton area, that's why they kept everything the same here. Or normally Wyerton Salvation Army here too would have had, the Millers here would have had the marching orders to leave, to march on to either to another corps for another 5 years, or and generally retire, and that kind of thing. So, and that so that is good. They're holding on as long as they can, but like I said, but in the actual Salvation Army constitutional law book, it does say that the officers do have to change every 5 years, because I know Peterborough has to, and down there, and Toronto has to, and all those other, all the Salvation Army corps do change every 5 years. That I do know. And that they were even doing that when I was in the Salvation Army Boy Scouts, and that kind of thing. You were seeing a lot of that change every 5 years. It never stayed the same. Usually right when it hit the 3rd year, they started changing them. So that way they were ready in time before they hit their 5th year of service. But again, that's what I said. That is like so comical. But I guess with their officership, it goes by when your number's called up. It is a number system. It is a file number system that they actually, I guess, their divisional headquarters works with. And that kind of thing. So when your number is called, you're gone. next two officers come in. It's and that, but that's what I said. It is so comical. But all the programs do stay the same. Now this one here. They have a program for teenagers. It's a construction course. It is woodworking and shingling and roofing. Ages it starts at ages 16 to 20, and it's an everyday course, and it's called a Trade Start program. And what it does is it's supposed to provide young people job, or get them on a trade or apprenticeship into a college or whatever for construction or courses. So when they come out of high school, if they want to go to college or university, they can go off to and get an apprenticeship to be a carpenter, roofer, plumber, truck driver. Whatever those big trades they want to go for, or careers they want to go for. And that way, I guess, it's saving the high school time, because even though high school has the facility itself, they've got too many students to actually put into those workshop facilities. So the Salvation Army runs the same type of course. So the students that can't get into the high school courses of it can take it through the Salvation Army, and they still get the same certified credits, which they still get their high school credits and that kind of thing. These kids actually get, and they get certified certificate. They get their health and safety certificate. They get the food handling course certificate. If they're taking the cook and hospitality program of it. So again, if they want to either go to college or get a career afterwards in that kind of trade, they're actually trained for that kind of a trade, or getting some type of experience. And during the Trade Start thing, they teach them how to do resumes, portfolioing. They actually try to take them out and get them actually job placements in different communities. In the summertime, building roofs, shingling a roof, or carpentry, or on a construction site, building houses, or electricianal work, that kind of thing. So again, if it's working for the township, just driving snow tractors, that kind of thing, they're getting them all trained up, so that way they can get a good job or career out of the course at the end of the course, and that. So they get that way they get the skills they need to go for the job and that kind of thing. So that way when they make it to go to an interview, that they can pass the interview and get interview skills and that kind of thing. They do a lot of in-shop work. They do a lot of in-class theory work. They do the measurements, measurement tests and the carpentry tests. They do health and safety. They have to start into harness and safety courses now too. Because they're by Canadian law, you have to have those. I don't know if it's the same in the States or not. Maybe it is. But I know with Canada here, it is it is mandatory that they have to take a harness and safety course, because some of the jobs like that, if you're roofing or shingling roofs, the roofs may be so hot, it may be too high up, that may require strapping into a harness or tying yourself to a roof and climbing a roof in an actual construction harness, and that way, because on maybe how steep the roof may be that you're building or whatever, or even if it's a window washer of like the CN Tower in Toronto, you got to know how to put on a harness and how to tie yourself to the harness. And that kind of thing, and use proper safety precautions, safety equipment, and that kind of thing. So it is quite interesting, and that. So again, this is just Jokers on Duty social, and that. So again, that's basically. And that. So anyhow, also too, this was a video. My hands kind of fall asleep. Again, this is where basically setting up the studio, kind of getting it all decorated at least. My Jokers on Duty studio, getting some posters up, that kind of thing. again, I got my TV behind me, and you know, again, I'm gonna play a couple of custom-made wrestling games with some of my some of my own custom-made wrestlers that you can make up on your own custom-made rings. Again, the sound will be down; it won't be on. So, and then there'll be the Optimist Hour, Coffee Time Social. Now, Hunter's Cabin, the Haunted Hunter's Cabin is coming back again this Halloween. It's not the Dark Hunter's Cabin Challenge. It is strictly going to be the main haunted house. And that, so it's going to be, again, under orange lighting. And that, so over time, there will be decorations added to the studio as well, and so it's going to be added to over time. So as we start going through the summer, I'll be looking around yard sales. Again, we're gonna go into going into a big decorative mode again, and that so. And also too, MFers is also good every night. It gets better and better. So it's really good. Congratulations to those ones that won on the draw last night. Hope you guys love everything, and that kind of thing. And that, so I always like Michael Klotz because he always talks about peace, love, positivity, and that. So, and it is a whole new year. I hope this year goes better than it does last year. I hope this year is actually a better year for people than it probably was last year. And that, so I wish everybody a happy 2018. That we're in 2018 now. And that. For how long is this 2018 going to stay? Until it's New Year's again. I hope it's not going to be one of those years that's going to fly right through, and then all of a sudden it seemed like just yesterday, and then all of a sudden we're going into 2019. I know 2017 had a bit of a drag to it. Didn't fly as fast. But again, I hope this is not. I hope 2018 is not one of those odd, or what you call one of those odd numbers where it is here today, gone tomorrow, and it flies right on through, and then all of a sudden we're back to December 31st again. But yeah, going into 2019. Because we get all so sidetracked, because don't forget we got summer coming up again, we got spring coming up for 2018, and usually that's when everything starts flying through. So again, we kind of want to keep on kind of on top of everything. And again, I did find my joke book, by the way, again, that I will maybe instead of reading the jokes, writing the jokes. I'm used to writing the jokes out and that kind of thing, where I twist them around and add them. I read from the joke book sometimes. And that, again, tomorrow's Wednesday. So I'm back at the dentist office tomorrow morning, 1 day a week, and then I got my newspapers. And so again, that's keeping me busy. And and then my Joker's on Dirty O Studios keep me busy too. Also, I'm going to work on my front studio door over here. So now, if anybody comes through my door, through studio door, they're not directly walking onto my camera. And that, like they were able to before, because like I said, I am in a closed-in room. I've got my couch here. So again, I'm gonna give you a quick scan of the the studio here, so you see what kind of changes it's changed around here. And so anyhow, again, you can see how, again, those are the old Christmas lights up there, and the couch actually needs to be straightened up a bit. And Joker's on Duty sign again. That there's is going to be taped. A little more work on that door there, to blend in for the Halloween this year, and the orange lights are still up there. And then somehow I'm going to blend that green garland into the haunted house, and the purple there, because that's already Halloween. That can basically stay. I don't know about that pink flower frame, but maybe nobody will notice that. And again, there's more pictures. There's my Canadian American flag up there, and more pictures. And there's where the haunted fireplace is going to be, and this time around. And again, there's all my movie shelves, and all my games are over there. And so you can see where everything basically is. And then the magical Joker's on Duty hat there, and then there's my pop fridge. And so anyhow, everything's basically coming back together, and that. So again, it was a bit of we were able to put a bit of social together, and that. So again, that the studio is also being worked on too a little bit more. Also too, when it comes down to the haunted house, setting up for the haunted house time usually around September. The actual there's going to be there's actually going to be Halloween streamers that are going to be going up across the ceiling, and ledges kind of around the ceiling area. And so again, this main studio is going to be all out. I'm also working on getting some more movie actually buying some movie posters to put up. So again, everything's kind of blend in. Again, the other studio room is being worked on as well. Might be as nice as this one, but bit by bit, I'm kind of decorating, and that kind of thing. So both rooms are being worked on. The actual living room is actually going to be tidied up and worked on. So that way there'll be the actual full haunted theme this year. And strictly this year, it is going to be authentically it's going to be a full haunted house theme. So again, it is going to be quite different this year from the Dark Hunter's Cabin Challenge card game. There's not a board game connected to it this year, maybe somewhat, I don't know yet. Again, but again, it won't be the card game. It is totally different. It's going to be authentically a full. This year. We're planning on setting up a full haunted house. Which actually we start thinking about it this early because the fact it takes me time to buy this stuff and get it put into the closet, so that way when it's get closer to the time, it's easier to decorate. That way I've got everything in here ready to decorate up, and that way I'm not running around scattering around buying everything in the last minute. Now, the New Year's hats that I have, those I probably won't keep for next year, because I'll probably buy a new set next year. They're up in my closet right now. I don't know what I don't know if I'm going to do a draw on them, or just probably give them to some friends of mine or whatever. that follows my streams and that kind of thing. There's only 4 of them. They're the plastic ones. So that way then they got them for next year and that kind of thing. But again, me, I always, every New Year's I buy a new set. Like it's, they're only like $1.50. Or I don't know, I may just keep them and give them away at the birthday game this summer. I'll put them on the teddy bears at the birthday game. They're funny. So at the village fair. So that way, if a teddy bear goes, so that way, if 4 teddy bears go, and that's so if when they're choosing their teddy bears and that kind of thing, when they win them, they can actually have a chance to walk away with 4 lucky teddy bears with Happy New Year hats on, and that so. Considering it's not so windy, and so kind of make the place look a little colorful this year, and also too, I am also going to remember too, since because this studio here, this is my own lounge studio, which is a closed-in room. I am going to put a sign on my front door. That basically, if I'm in a filming session or I'm on a live stream here, I'm gonna I'm gonna get one of those "Please do not disturb" signs for the front door, and those that can read the front door. If I'm on a live stream, unless it's very very important, don't walk in on my live streams. Unless you're prepared to be on be prepared to be on a video live stream, and that so being prepared to be on a live video stream is that you're well dressed and not walking around with your hair sticking up and in your pajamas or wandering in your underwear. Like I always try to, like I always say to my wife, like, if you're gonna come in here and and you never know when I'm on a live stream. I am live streaming. Before you come in here, put some pants on before you come in here, because you're walking into my studio lounge, and where I've got open video cameras, and respect this room. And that kind of thing, because people don't need to see that. I mean that is, and but yeah. So that's why I always tell my company too is if they're gonna come in, don't talk so loud either. Don't be yelling out in the other room so I can hear them through the door. Because I know there's 2 that come in here, and the first thing they walk in the front door, the main apartment, and you can hear it. They're so loud, it's not funny. Well, it is kind of funny, but they're so loud, and you can hear them right through this. When this door is closed, I can hear them out in the living room. Like, they're so loud, they're like typically yelling, and that, so and it's overpowering my streams. And that I had to ask a couple of times. I even open the door a crack and say, "Shut up! I'm live streaming. Show some respect." And that, but no, I'm not that mean. I don't do it in a mean way. I do it in a positive way, and that kind of thing. And that, so and also too, my New Year's videos actually turned out this year. I thought they were pretty good. My Christmas videos, my New Year's videos turned out quite good this year. And if you've been watching those, where it was one of those all night streaming. So partially checking during the day. Then that night we went to one stream after another stream into the new year. And then Michael Klutz and the MFers came back on at 12. They were on at 8 for a bit, and then they went off, and then Michael Klutz came back on about 12 o'clock at night, wishing everybody a Happy New Year when the New Year hit. And right when New York City Times Square dropped the ball and did the countdown clock. Now, just mind you, Joker's on duty. We do things different. Just so you know, when everybody sees my post on my videos, say, you're supposed to count down. well, that was a bit of a joke there. A bit of comedy. We don't, on Joker's on duty, we don't count down. When we count into the new year, we count up into the new year. So starting at 11 o'clock p.m., then we count the digits up to 12 a.m. So, and we actually follow what you call a digital clock. So we'll sit right at the moment every New Year's. What Joker's on Duty does, instead of going down, well, everybody's normally tradition of it, it goes down from 10 to 1. And Joker's on Duty, we don't actually count down. Our traditions are different. We actually count up into the new year. So we start at 11 o'clock p.m. And then we go from there. We count all the way up, and to 12 a.m. And right when it hits 12 a.m., it's Happy New Year's, and it's Happy New Year, and automatically, and it is marked right at 12 a.m. So it is. So that's how Joker's on Duty rings in the new year. We like to do things the opposite way and different way. Again, so we don't like again, we're more of a what you call a joke comedy show. So we do things. We'll do things like when we do New Year's, we do it all differently. Technically, we are doing what we should have had, or like our actual New Year's social party. We should have had New Year's night. We're having probably whenever I can afford a case of beer. So again, that's going to be our New Year's celebration, welcoming 2018. So again, we do things out of order. We do things backwards, and that. So again, it is and that kind of thing. So that way we make it more comical for you. Also, too, if you probably noticed in my New Year's Eve, I had my green wig on, I had my sunshades on, I had my clown shirt on, I had a nice white tuxedo shirt on, red bow tie for half the night. Then I started choking me a bit, and we'll just say a medallion, and I had pink pants. And so again, that was more ringing in the new year. And by the way, I wasn't drinking any alcohol that night because I didn't get to the liquor store to buy any. So that is why we're doing the New Year's celebration probably differently, backwards this time around. So again, so again, and then we're starting to redecorate for Hunter's Cabin again too. So again this year, so we're doing everything kind of early, and so we just wanted to put that into place a bit there too, and so to make it kind of comical and funny, and that. So again, so technically we don't count down. And that we actually count the digits up starting at 11 o'clock, and then we count every digit up. So we go 11 and then each digit up the clock, and up to 12 a.m. and then boom, it's New Year's. Always on New Year's Eve. We Joker's on Duty does things a lot totally the opposite and different than the regular tradition of it, and that. And so I hope everybody's still enjoying the Jokers on Duty shows. They're going to come up. There's going to be probably some new show opportunities coming up now in 2018. So again, we're putting this stuff together. again, to replace some the ghost scans, there will be probably. I've got Gothic Tale book. We'll probably read something from it. And that. So we may still have the odd ghost scans, but again, we'll see how we're gonna put those together to make it entertainable for you and that kind of thing. But anyhow, I hope everybody's having a great day, and like Michael Glotz would always say, remember your peace, love, and positivity. And you matter. And this was your Jokers on Duty. Have a great day.